Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics. Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 6. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the clairvoyant Mike Christensen.
Oh my god, I knew you were going to say that.
You did, didn't you? How did you know? Oh, that's right.
That's right, because it's written down on your sheet.
What are you now? You're like regal. You're
double dutching.
Double dutching. You're kaleidoscopic.
Yeah.
You're a lot of things.
I am.
And you're clairvoyant. So,
yeah.
I mean, do you think this episode's going to go well?
You know, I feel like I don't want to give away the surprise for you.
All right.
Because when I take it, it's spoilers is really the problem.
I've known a lot of clairvoyants in my time that really don't take.
No, you haven't.
I
know that you haven't.
I don't know if clairvoyance is the same as omnipotence. I know everything about you.
Well, no, it's just mind reading.
That's true. Well, you knew that I was going to say right now that, yes, Mike, I have not known. That was very confusing to say. Yes, I have not known many clairvoyants, so that's true. So that's how you knew. Very
your
good.
English teacher.
You worked it around.
Your 8th grade English teacher is just screaming at the computer.
Or shaking something. I don't know. But anyways.
It's good to be here.
Here we are with clairvoyant Mike Christensen on Because Comics. So, as we kick off each episode, we're here to talk about the pull list. Sure?
That's right. Every episode, we talk about what we're reading, what comics we think you guys should be reading. Mm-hmm. Jay, what comics should we be reading?
You should definitely be checking out Marvel's Thor, God of Thunder. Mm-hmm. Now, this is not a new thing. This has been around for, I think, since the new Marvel Now release, which is going on about 2 years, I think.
I think it was one of the first.
It's one of the first ones that was obviously they're going to be launching their Avengers team.
Sure,
Iron Man,
that's right.
Captain America. But I'm not here to talk about the opening arc of Thor, God of Thunder, which was pretty well known. It was
terrific.
God Butcher saga, followed by God Bomb.
Mm-hmm. A
lot of gods involved in it. A lot of slaying and butchering of said gods.
That's true.
And bombs as well.
There was a big bomb.
I didn't read that. No, I'm kidding. But really great, really awesome story. I definitely recommend it. But I definitely want to talk to you about the recent arc that just finished up. And I mean, literally just ended, I believe, this week. The last trade came out for it. So this is issues 19 of Thor God of Thunder. Mm-hmm. It wraps up in a smaller issue in issue 24. But basically the primary arc is 19 through 23. Now this comic is written by Jason Aaron, who is well known for, I think right now he's doing the big series Original Sin.
Yes, he is.
And he's known for Wolverine and X-Men.
Yep, Wolverine and the X-Men, yeah.
And then the artist is, I hope I don't say this wrong, Esad Ribic.
Yeah, I mean, he's really fantastic. I know it's Ribic, I'm just not sure about Esad or
this guy's art, I mean, put him with Thor drawing these giant monsters and these landscapes, and it's just so epic. Drawing space sharks. He does draw space sharks.
Oh my god.
Pretty amazing.
That's fantastic.
But, so anyways, outside of the God Butcher saga, this current arc is Thor not fighting a God Butcher or basically a, Malekith or these super monsters. Mm-hmm. He's actually fighting primarily in this issue or arc a CEO of a company. Actually, the CEO of Roxxon Corporation.
Oh, okay. It's been a while since we've had Roxxon show up.
Yep, and he's fighting the CEO, Dario Agger. The CEO is apparently a huge douche. He's a dick, and he's causing world problems. He has these floating cities in the sky that are polluting the planet.
Wow.
And literally Thor is combating lawyers most of this arc.
For those who may not be familiar, Roxxon from older school Marvel is like an oil company, and they were kind of used as a substitute for all kinds of nefarious. I mean, they even talk about them in Iron Man 3. They talk about the Roxxon oil spill. And
I think they make their way into, or they're starting to make their way into even Spider-Man too, I think, a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've been around for ages.
They're just a bad, evil
They're just
company.
a bad company, but they're not like Oscorp.
Yeah.
Or Hammer. They're one of the few bad companies in Marvel that doesn't specialize in supervillains, and primarily their main export isn't supervillainy.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, we just make super weapons. How do we make any of our profits?
That's all we do is make rhinos.
All we do is make rhinos and Greek goblins. That's all we do. But, I mean, this company is just literally evil for the sake of any normal company we have these days that's evil, like oil dumping, pollution, all that kind of stuff.
Your standard Captain Planet.
This would be the perfect Captain Planet villain. But, so, it's a great parallel to Thor, whose most problem solving is done with, I hit it with a hammer until it stops moving, basically. And so, there's a great scene of when, Thor starts this whole arc off with pissing off the CEO of this company. And you don't want to do that to a guy who thinks he's a god. He's, it's almost like that Lex Luthor Superman syndrome.
Right.
Just like, you think you're so great, but I'm better than you, I think, so I'm going to, fuck with you, basically.
Right.
So he comes to the town of where Midgard is currently, not Midgard, but where Asgard is currently living, because I don't know if people are up with the comics, Asgard kind of fell out of where it was. It's now kind of like floating above this town,
Broxton, Oklahoma.
Yeah, in like the middle of the U.S.
Yeah,
just floating there. Why not? And it's great. Everybody in the town's really nice. So Dario decides to go there and just screw with the town, just pollute it, have things in the sky, and then as soon as Thor comes in, he slams him with I believe it's a restriction notice or whatever it is. He gets lawyered up and literally legally kicks Thor out of Broxton, and I guess technically his own Asgard as well. So Thor cannot protect the people of this town legally for environmental reasons, while Dario is there just screwing with the crops, destroying everything, and it's just like a really interesting story of trying to watch Thor struggle against environmental problems
and bureaucracy.
Yeah,
because that's the kind of thing that happens in Iron Man comics fairly regularly. Happens sometimes in Fantastic Four, right. She-Hulk, because she's a lawyer. There tend to be legal battles, and obviously Daredevil.
It's built into the DNA of that character.
Exactly. Thor isn't the kind of person who generally gets thrown by bureaucracy or. Like, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's generally like, well, man's law, I will abide by this.
And this is not to throw anybody off thinking that, like, the ending of this story arc is Thor in a courtroom being like, and that's why I think, it's nothing like that. It
but
definitely
now all
ends...
I want is Mr. Thor goes to Washington. Why?
He's just in a big suit. He's got a big briefcase.
It's Mr. Odinson goes to Washington.
The briefcase only holds Mjolnir. Like, that's all that's in it. He opens it up at the table and just takes out the hammer.
Or it's just the framing device is like the Social Network with the deposition scenes, and Loki's just like,
Loki's his lawyer. That would be a pretty
that would be
Jason Aaron,
amazing.
Please make this alternate comic where Thor has to fight something legally.
Jason Aaron, you know that Marvel publishes a comic called What If.
That's true.
Please, what if Thor
had to
sue?
Reason.
Oh God. I want this now.
I don't even feel like I want to finish up with the stories. You know what? In fact, just write Jason Aaron letters about Thor going to court and Loki being his lawyer.
No, but you were saying that, this is not the normal.
So this is not the normal. I mean, but obviously it doesn't end with just Thor going to court. It obviously does end with hammers and him punching some creatures. I won't say why.
Yeah, I mean...
And, maybe the CEO is a Minotaur. You don't know. You gotta read the comic.
Jay, is the CEO a Minotaur?
I didn't say that, Mike. I don't know where you got that from.
I am clairvoyant.
That is true. Well, I'm not going to give anything away, guys. And just one thing to add, which you'll be surprised by probably if you just listen to this, just like the God Butcher saga, this story is paralleled with also future Thor.
Right,
So it's got old Thor going on and current Thor going on. And basically the story arc is called The Last Days of Midgard. For the reasons I told you before, obviously they're polluting the planet, so that makes sense. But the other reason it's called that, because in the future, old Thor is there with his granddaughters.
He's still in court.
He's still there.
He's still in litigation.
In court.
Those lawsuits take a long time.
Cannot get that closing statement. And he's on this barren earth like it's dying. And just to give you the hook, why it's called Last Days of Midgard for his story is who shows up for a last kind of Royal Rumble but Galactus, the World Eater himself.
Oh, snap.
So we parallel a wonderful legal battle of Thor against a CEO with old Thor fighting a World Eater. So I leave it to you to feel or see how it ends up, but I highly recommend it. It's fantastic.
That sounds terrific. I'm definitely going to check that out.
Mike, what is your pull for this week?
My pull is also Marvel Now, because Marvel Now is crushing it, and I am. Look, we've done 6 episodes, and they're all about Marvel stuff. Like I am a well-known Marvel zombie. Like this is definitely that's my bag.
And they do good stuff.
Yeah, and they're doing really well right now. And this is a much more recent series. It's called Ms. Marvel, and Ms. Marvel spun out of very indirectly spun out of the Infinity storyline with the for those who don't know, that was a crossover that ended with Black Bolt setting off a bomb that basically made new mutants.
That's right. Yeah.
All over Earth. They're not mutants. They're Inhumans, which is a different sort of branch of evolution, but basically just triggered them all over the world. Particularly. And this story is about a young Arab American teenager named Kamala Khan in New Jersey, and she is
perfect place for a superhero story.
She is a really terrific character because she's really well developed. Okay. She's got this like quirkiness to her that feels very genuine, and she has this she writes basically fan fiction about the Avengers on basically Tumblr, and awesome. she has her headcanon of what Ms. Marvel is like, or now Captain Marvel is like, and what Captain America is like, and what Iron Man. She has her mental image of them, and at a point in I think it is issue 1 when she's first exposed to this mist from the bomb, and has this sort of hallucination of talking to them. She imagines how Ms. Marvel and Iron Man and Captain America would talk to her in this moment, and they're not just well, go and great power, great responsibility. Ms. Marvel.
Think of the scene from Sandlot where he opens his closet and Babe Ruth steps out and is like, "You can do it."
But it's
Run,
also
jump.
Kamala's like, "Oh, if I were you, I'd totally go back to that old costume." And this fake Ms. Marvel's like, "Wow, you must really have a thing for still thigh-high stilettos and wedgies." And it's like, "Oh yeah, well that is still pretty close to how she talks." And she gets this power of shapeshifting, which is not something we see a lot of heroes with. So she wakes up and she looks exactly like Ms. Marvel. She's like, what? And I remember reading the first issue and being like, so this Arab American teenager wakes up white? That's so weird.
That's not odd twist.
But that's obviously not her intention. And she's trying to figure out her powers. And it's one of those books. It definitely doesn't play into that stereotype the way I was kind of nervous that it would.
Right.
It's one of those books that plays with decompression. Much in the same way that Bendis has redone the origin of Peter Parker and Miles Morales and Ultimate Spider-Man, and takes a few issues to actually get them into costume. Similarly, we take a while to get Ms. Marvel
right. And
into the Ms. Marvel.
I like seeing that.
I really enjoyed it, especially with characters.
There are times you want to see people dive right in, and then there's times you want to see them take their time, figure it out.
And this is especially this is a brand new character. Mm-hmm. She has a name connection to Captain Marvel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's endorsed by.
But the power set obviously is different.
The power set is entirely different. The origins are entirely different. She didn't get her powers from the same source as Ms. Marvel did, or as Carol Danvers did. So you really do have to take your time and really establish what is it like, because it's not just I'm not going to tell you her family is alive. There's no dead Uncle Ben. Right. There's no shifty criminal family member who inspires her to go into vigilante crime fighting. It takes a little more to get a normal person to use their shapeshifting to fight crime, especially a teenager who, is in New Jersey, not the most crime-ridden place in the world. It's not Oakland
really
or
have
Compton.
To try to find it. There's crime on every corner. Actually, no.
Let's be fair. It's the Marvel Universe. There's always crime.
That's true.
There's always supervillains. There is one that's coming.
There's probably instead of a juice card on the corner, there's just a gun card on the corner.
Yeah, exactly. But there's definitely a creeping threat of some sort of supervillainy that is in her area, if not her town. But it really does take a time, and it takes its time not just to develop her as an Arab American, which is of course the big hook was, she's a Muslim hero, but also she's got an older brother and she's got a relationship with her friends at school, and she's got really interesting and fun supporting cast members in a way that we don't see that often.
That's great.
A lot of supporting characters. It happens in teenage books, but not really outside of that, because it's a really great environment, as you can just throw people together. And
because,
you're surrounded by people from all walks of life.
And a school. A school is the perfect framing device for how can we bring a bunch of different people together and have to interact with them every issue.
But they also take care to develop her family, and which obviously they're not immediately killing them off, Uncle Ben style. They still might. Jury's it's still available for them to kill off all the family members.
It's always nice to just build up your favorite characters and then just slowly pick them off.
One at a time.
Yep.
But it's a really thoughtful, well-done series that, and again, is a lot of fun. And you get to see her kind of first forays into trying to be a hero, whether she's intending to in the moment or not. She is thrown in situations where she can be a hero and has to make a choice, and then maybe she becomes a hero, superhero. We know that she does. The book's called Ms. Marvel. She's wearing a costume on the cover of every one.
By issue 5, she's just like, I think I'm actually going to go into, reeling, and I'm just going to go and take my classes. But
it's a really well done series, and I really do recommend it. It's a very different tone from a lot of the other things we see in Marvel now, and that's one of the great things about Marvel now is they're really taking chances.
They really do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
I think it really plays to the strength of everything. I mean, it's not all this one tone across the entire universe.
It really does remind me a lot of Miles Morales' first issues of Ultimate Comics Spider-Man in the best way.
Because I don't think he put on the costume for Miles Morales. I don't think he put it on until issue 6 or something.
It wasn't quite that late, but it was close. It
definitely wasn't 1 through 3.
No, it took a while.
Yeah.
And it was also, it's regular length issues. You had the same thing though with Ultimate Spider-Man when it first started in 2000, where he wasn't in that costume until issue 3 and he was a wrestler at that point. Right. And that's a double-sized issue 1. They took their sweet time getting you there. And that's the same approach, and it works really well. I didn't actually say who was writing or drawing. I didn't. G. Willow Wilson is the writer, and Adrian Alphona is the artist. And Adrian has this really terrific, very different style. It's very kinetic and not quite cartoony, but it's got a real kind of indie comics feel to it. It's really great, guys. Definitely check it out.
All right, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was some good pulls, and now I think we're going to move along to our main segment.
Yep.
All right, let's kick it off.
Fantastic Four number 10, The Return of Dr. Doom. This week we're going to be talking about the 10th issue of Fantastic Four from January 1963, written by Stan Lee, drawn by Jack Kirby. A little bit of backstory. This is, as I said, The Return of Dr. Doom is flat on the cover. Dr. Doom showed up in issue 5, his first appearance, and then issue 6 teamed up with Namor to fight the Fantastic Four, and then was lost in space.
He just got lost?
It happens.
You just start driving out in space, and sometimes you just make a few wrong turns.
The lost presumed dead. So this issue opens with Mr. Fantastic, and he's trying to use his new scanners to figure out how Sue's invisibility works, because they're still trying to get a handle on how their powers work. They're still kind of getting a sense...
Issue 10, that is fairly early.
Yeah, he's still trying to get a sense, where does it come from, how does it work? It really just gives them a chance to all show off their powers for new readers. Right. So you have literally Johnny is standing there, and he's on fire, and taking notes, his hand is normal, and the rest of him's on fire, and Sue's like, it's just so hot with him on fire, and Johnny's like, oh, sorry, sis, I forgot, and you're like, you forgot you were on fire?
How between issue 1 and 10, how often has he been on fire that he's just forgotten this is not how
at least once an issue, more likely twice or 3 times an issue, yeah.
Who knows? Is he studying, does he, when I watch a specific TV channel, I light on fire, and then when I watch, Food Network, I don't?
I don't know, but that's the kind of thing I imagine that Mr. Fantastic is saying, okay, if you are ever on fire and you don't notice, look around. What's in your environment? What are you watching? What are you reading?
How are you feeling?
What are the triggers? Oh, interesting. I don't even actually know if he would ask what he was feeling, because Mr. Fantastic is very...
He's very straightforward. I was standing at a right angle to the light as it was hitting me in this... Yeah.
Yeah. But a flare goes off in the sky. They have this signal flare that they use pretty much since issue 1. It's just in the shape of a 4.
Is that their bat signal?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They'll send it into the sky and they'll say, oh, well, it's the one of us who's not here. It's the thing. We got to go help him,
Oh, so they all carry around little flare guns.
They all have flare guns.
That's pretty fun.
So, and they get this really bizarre scene where Mr. Fantastic is going to reach through a vault door and go get the Fantastic car. That's their flying 4-person car, the Fantastic car.
So he put it in a vault that only he can access?
No, it's just somewhere else in the building. He's going to fly it down to them because it's faster.
Okay.
But then his hand gets lost. He lands in the hangar instead. And then So Johnny, it's just a chance to show off their powers. Johnny focuses his heat. He's like, "Oh, I figured out I can do this," and he, cracks open the vault with by focusing like a blowtorch.
And it's a very poor garage they have set up for their Fantastic
And they're
Car.
like, "Good job, but we'll actually get faster independently." And then they all go their separate ways.
So they spent all this time in the issue to get in the Fantastic Car, and they're just like, let's just leave ourselves.
And then why would they all be faster their separate ways?
No.
Mr. Fantastic is faster. Oh, solo, maybe not than flying, but because he can like swing from buildings and
like,
jump
stretch
around.
and
Yeah,
But
Johnny is certainly just as fast as the Fantastic Car. Sue is invisible.
that does not give her
She
any
just
special
is literally just running through traffic invisibly, and
Which really is more dangerous than it is safe.
And then she appears in the street, and they're like, "What the hell?" And they drive out of the way and swerve. There's a lot of. Here's the thing about early Fantastic Four, early X-Men. When you have an ensemble this size, and this isn't a series. You'd have readers coming and going. This wouldn't be quite as dedicated. I mean, you certainly would have dedicated fans, but you also have a lot of turnaround of new readers coming in.
So they
just
have
picking
to
it up off the
constantly remind
newsstand.
people.
You just have to remind it. And there's a lot of exposition in every issue of all these comics. Who's related to whom? Who feels which way about whom? What are everyone's powers? What are everyone's weaknesses? There's a lot of repetition that happens. We saw this in a lot of old comics that we've reviewed as well. Just the monotony, and not even monotony, just the obligatory exposition that's somewhat a little clunky.
Again, Sue is still the sister of Johnny Storm.
And engaged or something to read.
Maybe we'll find out this guy's a giant rock, and back to the fighting.
Exactly. They reach the Thing, who is with his girlfriend.
Again, also a person who can't move very quickly without a flying car.
He was already there. They were going to his location.
That's true.
And he's with his girlfriend, Alicia Masters, who they only met like an issue or two ago. She was the daughter of a supervillain named the Puppet Master, who was a sculptor who made little figures out of clay and then would control them almost like voodoo. And she is blind, but she's an incredible sculptress. Is that the term? Sculptor? Sculptress?
Sculptress?
I don't know. Sure.
Well, why not? Probably a villain, if it isn't already. The Sculptress.
But she is basically just, the Thing is like, why does that have to be an emergency for me to want you guys to come over? Like, I just wanted to show you guys what Alicia's been working on. And she made little maquettes of all of their villains.
Interesting.
Although, interestingly, her father is not in that lineup.
Weird.
Which I think is interesting.
But wait, so the Thing was just like totally casual, like, guys, I used our signal gun to get you over here just to take out these puppets.
Well, by that I mean,
Reed Richards
hey,
was
you
the
guys, I called you over here to watch it because, again, he's the Thing, and he talks like that.
That's true.
But
Does it come through very well in the comic, too?
Oh, yeah. There's lots of apostrophes.
Nice.
There's no G's, just apostrophes. Even at this point. And they're all like, oh, yeah, good, very well done. And Sue's like, oh, but that Namor, he wasn't so bad. And Reed's like, well, Sue, I wanted to talk to you. I mean, I thought you and I had an understanding that you and I, when the time was right.
Thought you and I had an understanding? Thought you had an understanding that you're only dating me.
And she says, she cuts him off and says, don't say it, because he doesn't say get married, because why would he? And she said, don't say it, I'm just too conflicted. And Johnny's like, I'm glad I'm too young not to have those kind of mushy problems.
Wow.
So, pretty status quo. Then we cut
This is making me uncomfortable.
Then we cut to the office of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
You're gonna have to back up for 1 second.
Nope. We cut to the office. We cut to the office of Stan Lee and Jack
the writers
Kirby.
and artists of this comic that we're reading.
And Jack Kirby is suggesting a new villain for the Fantastic Four named Falseface. It's literally just a bald guy with a big mustache. And Lee's like, it's not bad, but it's a little pedestrian. I mean, I think the fans have come to expect something a little more, basically extravagant, a little more impressive. They need a more exciting supervillain. And they lament the fact that, I wish Dr. Doom didn't get lost in space because, you don't get a villain like that very often. And then Dr. Doom walks in
into
their
the room
office
with Jack Kirby and Stan Lee.
Yeah. And he says like, yeah, I'm not dead. You're going to call the Fantastic Four and get them down here. Call them, tell them you want to bang out a plot for the next issue, and you're going to make this work.
Okay, hold on. So Dr. Doom, a character in the comic, is talking about the comic he's in the comic he's in, with Jack Kirby and Stan Lee writing the comic they're writing.
So here's the explanation that came a little bit later, and is actually the status quo in the Marvel Universe. There is a Marvel Comics in the Marvel Universe.
Really?
They do licensed comics.
What?
So there is a Stan Lee and a Jack Kirby who do comics based on the Fantastic Four.
Based on the real superheroes.
Based on their real adventures. Now, there are also Spider-Man comics. Now, he does not have a public face. I don't know who those comics are about. I don't know if they just make things up.
What are those comics about? Like, and in the next episode or next issue of Spider-Man, Tim Marcus, this really Spider-Man is, because they don't know. They don't know it's Peter Parker.
No, but...
Tim Marcus, who lives in a penthouse in downtown New York. Everything in his life is great.
But they don't show you. It's Tony Stark of Spider-Man.
Yeah, we see. That's what I'm really... I want to know about these Marvel versions of the superheroes.
They show up a lot in Fantastic Four because they are a licensed product. So they show up in the Mark Waid run. They have meetings, and it's almost always with the writer of the current arc. So even as recently as FF, in Matt Fraction's run, the only other comic that references Marvel Comics as much was Dan Slott's run on She-Hulk, where Marvel Comics were admissible as evidence.
That's so strange.
It's such a bizarre little niche that started in issue 10, and I don't know if that's... Because the first thing... Because when Jack calls... Or I guess not Jack. Stan calls... Mm-hmm. It's Stan and Jack. It's as if they're collaborative. They have an office that says Lee and Kirby.
Right.
Like they work out of one office together. Which actually was probably closer to true at the time than it is now. Mm-hmm. They call the Fantastic Four, and Mr. Fantastic, Reed, is like, well, that's weird. We just spoke, 2 days ago. All right, I guess I'll head down there for our writers' meeting so that to kind of give them some ideas, some inspiration for the comics. And the Thing has a line, he's, lifting weights with a huge barbell. He says, tell them if they don't stop making me look even uglier than I am, I'm liable to go up there and ring this 2-ton weight around their skinny necks.
Okay.
So, they're aware of the comics, clearly.
That's so odd.
Interesting.
They've only been around for 10 issues, and they already have a comic deal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Fantastic Four have a skyscraper and a flying car. Of course there are comics about them.
Oh, that's true.
But here's the thing. This isn't the first Marvel comic we've seen in a comic, because we've seen Johnny reading the Hulk. But that was when the Hulk first came out. It was before anyone crossed over with anyone.
That's a really interesting way for a comic to cross-market with other comics in their universe.
Exactly.
It's like Johnny's remember, this is a really interesting issue of the Hulk.
He literally says, hey, I'm really enjoying this magazine. He almost looks a little like you, Rocky. Ha ha ha. And then they're referencing the Hulk. Which is out at the time.
It's so odd.
It's a different time, man.
In all fairness, it was issue 10 of the Fantastic Four when Marvel was still very young.
Yeah.
It wasn't well, of course we're going to be a massive, huge company and we're going to have billion-dollar movies.
Playing fast and loose.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting point. We never see Doctor Doom's face. Almost never in comics do you see Doctor Doom's face.
Now, when you mean his face, you don't mean his metal
behind the mask.
You mean behind this. Of course, that's a normal staple.
But we also don't see Stan or Jack's faces.
They're covered by lamps?
By Jack rubbing his face, I wish we could come up with a new villain, by someone holding up a phone, by just facing away from the screen, cropped off. We just don't see their faces.
That's so weird.
So we have a scene of 3 guys, and Doom takes off his mask at one point. We have 3 people in a room together, and we don't see any of their
anybody's faces or reactions or expressions.
Oh, it's Jack Kirby. You see plenty of expressions through body language. He's the master of that.
Jeez, that's so odd. But wait, but to reiterate, Dr. Doom, who is real, has gone into the comic offices of the comic versions of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Yes.
And this supervillain, who's a real supervillain,
yes,
wanted to have a meeting about what they could do in their story.
He wants them to call Mr. Fantastic as a plot.
As a nefarious plot.
Yes.
Okay. That makes as much sense as this can make sense. But I thought literally Dr. Doom in the context of the Marvel Universe was
sitting
let's
down
get those guys in here so we can get a marketing plan together about how we can get our comics out there.
No, he wants to one-up Mr. Fantastic.
Okay.
So Mr. Fantastic shows up. Reed shows up, and Dr. Doom hits him with knockout gas. And he says...
Was it crazy in purple?
No, it's green, I think.
Damn. Real missed opportunity.
And he picks up Reed and says, all right, call the Fantastic Four, give him my address, tell him to come after me, I'm waiting. And he leaves. And, Reed wakes up, and Doom tells him, I was saved by this race of peaceful aliens, and I learned all their secrets. Well, not all their secrets, but enough of their secrets.
And all of them are about peace, so I'm really just here to hang out.
No, they have a trick to not dying, in that when they grow old, they'll develop a new body for themselves. They'll clone a new body and build it, and they'll just transfer their consciousness into that, so they don't have to die. And by the way, while we've been talking, I've been concentrating real hard, and now we've switched bodies!
Wow, and this is all this is all issue 10.
Yeah. Oh, yes. This is all one issue. The storytelling chops of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby cannot be denied.
They cannot be.
They switch bodies, and then the Fantastic Four show up. And Reed's like, I got free, let's beat him up. And Dr. Doom tries to tell them, no, guys, it's me, I'm Reed. And they're like, why would he tell such a dumb lie? And Reed's like, to try to get your trust. And he grabs this device, the teleporter that brought them there. This antimatter decelerator, or whatever it is, was going to destroy you. He was just trying to get close enough to use it. You can't trust a word he says. And then there's this really great touch. In this point, Reed's face with Dr. Doom's mind is drawn totally differently. It's still the same face, but in only the way Jack Kirby can, seems to have generated shadows, like around his eyes and his cheekbones, and he's got like a more of a sneer.
That's really cool.
The way he carries his face is totally different. The way he looks, it's got these wild Kirby eyebrows and eyes to it. That's just, and it's so subtle. Well, not really at all, but it's subtle enough that you don't like think they're dumb for not noticing it.
Right.
And it's just, it works really, it's very effective. His
awesome.
eyes are just a lot wider than they used to be.
That's a little bit like how in Dan Slott's current run of Superior Spider-Man, how, when Dr. Octopus was in Peter Parker's body for issues and issues, you could definitely tell in his face as well that, with his eyebrows and how his eyes,
his
how
expressions
were
entirely wrong,
entirely different and weird and odd, and that's really cool that, Jack Kirby definitely delved into that early on. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And Reed finds, Reed, quote unquote, actually Dr. Doom, finds, quote unquote, this prison that was meant to be for the Fantastic Four. He's like, well, perfect. This is justice. We'll put him in here, and we'll figure out
this thing that I know how to operate for some reason.
Well, it's just a dungeon, basically a trap door into a big glass jar. Doom Reed says, "Oh, we'll just leave him." Should it be Reed Doom or Doom Reed?
I like Doom Reed.
Well, Fake Reed. Fake Reed says, we'll leave him in this jar for now. When we come up with another prison, with something that will actually be more long, something more permanent, we'll come back and we'll get him out. And everyone leaves. And he turns back. He's like, "You only have an hour of air. See ya!"
Wow.
And just leaves. And there's air tanks, but they will run out in an hour. And then we cut to the Baxter Building, and a bunch of tiny animals wander through the hallway. And everyone else looks around. They're like, why are there tiny elephants and tiny bears and tiny camels and lions and cows wandering through the hallway? What the hell? And they all try to scramble to catch them. We don't see them using their powers or anything. Again, Sue doesn't have force fields at this point.
Yeah.
It's not like Johnny cages them with fire. It's literally just a panel.
Just shoot fire at it. That'll solve our problem.
It's literally just a panel of everyone tripping over each other trying to catch these tiny, basically yakety sax. And they're like, quick, we got to get him back in these cages. You know how Reed is. We got to get them back in their cages before Reed comes back.
We got to get Reed's tiny animals back in their tiny cages.
Because you know how he gets about us interrupting his science. And so, they know who Reed is. He's still this guy. And there's an article in the newspaper, front page, zoo animals missing. And Reed comes home and they're like, hey, so we found your tiny animals. Have you read the news? What's up, Reed? Why did you steal? Did you steal animals? And he's like, I did it for you guys. Look, here's my plan. I've got this shrinking ray, and I'm working on this theory. Because, dinosaurs, their problem was that they weren't smart enough. If they'd been smarter, they could have survived their extinction. But they outgrew their brains, basically. If their brains had just been large enough, they could have basically, found a way around their deaths. He says that they grew themselves to extinction, which I don't really think is accurate. But we also do see...
I'm pretty sure it's not.
But we also
If it wasn't for these giant legs, I'd be a genius.
If only my brain wasn't pea-sized, although that is a good point.
Yes, but being larger doesn't make the brain smaller.
They didn't just grow until they died.
Once again, Stan Lee's tactics for figuring out science in his Fantastic Four
He played it fast and loose. Although we also do get to see a frame of these human-sized dinosaurs in spacesuits on the moon, clearly establishing that we live in an inferior reality. If that is a potential way that evolution could have gone, we are failures.
We are way, way behind.
I know, it's sad. But he basically says, so here's my plan. Now again, the science of this is dubious, but remember, it's not actually meant to work.
Okay.
His plan is, if I shrink each of you, your powers will get a bit more powerful. Johnny's flame will stay the same amounts, like as powerful. He'll just have the same. He'll just be really tiny. Then when I make you large enough, your powers will increase. So you'll be able to just like. You'll have all sorts of fire powers, Johnny. And Sue, you'll be able to turn any part of your body invisible. Again, at this point, that is not an option.
Oh, she couldn't do that before.
She's just invisible or not, for the most part. And then Ben, and this is the real selling point, Ben, you'll have such control over your powers, you'll be able to turn to and from the thing at will. Imagine being able to have your own face. Like, Dr. Doom is not a dummy. He knows this is all Ben wants. How do you not? He never shuts up about it. You'll be able to turn back and forth, and the Fantastic Four start bickering over who gets to use the ray first. And Dr. Doom lets out this amazing laugh in the Jack Kirbyist face. Ha ha ha! Like, in his mind, mostly. And it's like, those fools are going to be fighting over who gets to be shrunk first.
Who gets to be screwed first,
because they're like, and he's like, well, give me a couple hours, I'm going to perfect it, and then I'll hit you all with the beam at once. So no one has to fight over who goes first. He's going to shrink them into nothingness.
This is a pretty well laid out plan.
Yeah. He's going to shrink them until they're nothing, and then, like, the problem solves.
Yeah.
Now Reed, real Reed, fake Doom, is down to his last minutes of air. But he's taken off his mask, and we don't see the face, and he's chipping away at the glass, and he manages to get a crack in it, and he grabs one of the oxygen tanks and shoves it in and grabs another one and blows it up, and then he gets out. He does not die somehow. Well, he's wearing Dr. Doom's armor. I guess that's fair.
That's gotta help, right?
I mean,
I forgot that I wear giant full suits of armor.
Well, he's wearing armor that's meant to protect him from a guy made of fire and a guy made of rocks.
That's true. So it's probably pretty
shock
strong.
Absorbent.
Yeah. It's probably got some features.
But he goes to Alicia Masters, Ben's girlfriend, for help.
Hey, this is gonna be... I know I've got a lot to explain in a very short amount of time.
And that's how it starts, and then he gets hit over the head by a vase by the Invisible Woman.
Okay.
Because she was there.
Oh, she was just hanging out.
So she smashes him with a vase. He's like, oh, damn it. And
My
falls.
again, a suit that is resilient to fire and rock hulks.
All it has to do is knock him off his balance. He's not used to walking in this thing. He's barely on his last legs anyway.
Right.
And Alicia is like, well, hang on. He didn't seem evil because I'm blind and I have this magic power of aura sight or whatever. Like, I just
Wait,
know...
does she really have that magic power of aura sight?
They don't call it that, but she's basically got this weird aura. Like, I just know good things about people. Like, that's how she knew that...
Did you say she has clairvoyance, Mike?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically. She's, like, able to... Well, she loves the thing for who he is inside, which is beautiful, but that kind of translates into just being able to read people, which is fine.
Okay.
And works for the contrivance of this story.
Exactly.
And she's like, well, something was off about him. And then the Thing shows up. And so does Johnny, but the Thing shows up. He is ready to beat the shit out of Dr. Doom. It's one of those, like, you took this to my girlfriend? No, sir.
This is going down.
And
if he could roll up sleeves, he would.
But something stops him. He's not sure what, but he just can't do it. And
He just
can't bring down...
Something's off?
He feels something's off. And... You know, like, and Alicia's like, see, right? There's something different about him, and of course...
Forgot the Thing also has the powers of clairvoyance.
Well, I mean, it's the powers of
Friendship?
if he dies, you can't. Like, if
You know,
thing,
let's call it the power of friendship.
let's call it the power of friendship. They are the oldest friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He saw maybe in his weird doomish eyes something.
They do make a point of his eyes. They talk about like something's different. Like
Something there.
Well, Reed tries to say like, look at my eyes earlier on.
Did you say that there was something there that wasn't there before?
There is exactly something there that wasn't there before. Beauty and the Beast. Fake Reed shows up, and he's obviously not happy that Doom's alive.
Probably not. Now, wait a second. Fake Reed is Reed in Doom's body? I thought Doom Reed was bad Reed.
Fake Reed is Doom in Reed's body.
All right, so who's Reed in Doom's body? Doom Reed?
Real Reed.
Real
I'm
Reed.
calling him Fake Reed and Real Reed.
We threw out Doom Reed, Mike?
Doom
What are
Reed.
you doing here?
Because Doom Reed could be
What are we doing here, Mike?
We're
We
breaking
doing
it
an
up.
issue about Doom Reed, or are we doing an issue about Fake Reed?
So Doom Reed is Doom in Reed's body.
Gotcha.
Reed Doom is Reed in Doom's body.
Okay.
So Doom Reed...
So the primary is always the mind in the body. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Doom Reed
shows up.
shows up and he's mad and he's like, well, guys, you can't take him on alone. So I'm gonna have to do that shrinking thing to you and get you the powers that you need to fight Doctor Doom. We gotta do this now, guys. Get in front of the Ray. And Reed Doom is like, no, guys, don't trust him. What happens is Doom Reed says, silence, you puny, or you weakling, or whatever, or you muling, whatever it is. You meddling fool.
Okay.
And
what was the meddling?
The Fantastic Four look at each other and they're like, something's screwy here. This is not right. So Johnny uses a power that will not make sense in science. Okay. I'm just telling you that right now. The science of this is not even questionable.
Well, I'm going to put this science book away then.
Yeah, put that down.
All right.
It's weird that you brought that.
Yeah, I know. I get these feelings sometimes. It's like I can tell the future. Mike, am I clairvoyant?
If you are, then we're going to have to Highlander this.
There can be only one clairvoyant on this podcast.
So here's what Johnny does. Down on the street below, down below the Baxter Building, they're doing construction. Mm-hmm. They're excavating the foundation of the street, which isn't a thing, but fine. Okay. They're using dynamite on the street. Again, not on the streets of New York, but fine. Maybe this is a thing that happened in 1963 a lot in
There was
New
a
York.
lot of dynamite around New York.
I don't know.
Taxis and dynamite, standard stuff.
I wouldn't know.
That's true.
So Johnny he fills the room with heat. And you know how heat creates ripples and mirages and things?
Right.
He projects the image of the dynamite into the room, so it looks like there's dynamite in the middle of the room.
You are very lucky I put that science book away, Mike, because I would have hit something with it.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't make any sense. But here's the thing. Reed Doom jumps to save them.
Okay.
He jumps on the dynamite. Doom Reed...
The Mirage dynamite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doom Reed tries to escape out the vents. At this point,
You failed the test.
Thing grabs him, and he's like, nope! And he pulls him back, and Doom Reed is so surprised that he loses focus, and he loses his concentration, and they switch back.
Wow.
And then they fight him for just a minute, but mostly Doom is just shooting lasers at them, and he hits the controls for the shrinking ray, and it's pointed right at him, and he just shrinks, and shrinks, and shrinks, and no, you have to stop it, reverse the polarity now! In my mind, he just gets his voice higher and higher pitched, and then they all, basically just look at each other and go, man, what a way to go.
What a day, guys.
And Reed says, oh yeah, and yet, how fitting that he should meet the fate he had planned for you. So once again, just like in episode 2, where Spider-Man justifies murder,
yeah,
Reed is definitely like, no, it's cool, guys.
Guys, he was gonna try to kill us. This is totally fine.
No, guys, it's okay. It's irony, so it's all right.
It's fine.
It's not wrong.
So anybody want to go get a shaker? Get out of here.
Want to go get some malts, guys?
Yeah, right.
Alrighty.
Let's just forget about this ever happened. Wow. So they brought back Doom in the weirdest way, by the way, for this one issue. And then in the same issue, they potentially, quote unquote, killed him off.
It's a lot more common than it used to be. Wow. There's a lot more, Vader spinning away in the spaceship at the end, like, I don't know when I'll come back.
But okay. Yeah,
because you don't know if he's going to die in the vacuum of space. You hope not, because he's a great villain.
Yeah.
And we know Doom came back.
Of course.
Because he's been in more than 3 comics. Yes. His name's Dr. Doom and he has a vulture. Of course he's been in more than 3 comics.
No one trademarks the name Dr. Doom and says, maybe 1 or 2 comics.
Yeah, maybe only.
Stiltman, maybe 3 comics, but Dr. Doom, not so much.
Stiltman's been in a lot more than 3 comics.
If I had my way, Mike, he'd be in almost every comic. I love that guy.
Oh, man. But yeah, that's...
wow.
That's the Fantastic Four Freaky Friday.
The return of Dr. Doom. Well, that was an awesome and incredibly weird main segment, Mike.
You're welcome.
Oh, jeez. All right, well, it looks like we'll be rolling into our game segment for today's episode. Our game segment being, Who Am I? Who am I? So in this segment, what we'll do is Mike is going to ask me a series of questions, basically about 20 questions, to figure out
hopefully less
who I am holding out on, basically. Who is the person he's asking about. Mm-hmm. I have a hero or villain, Marvel or DC in mind, and he has to kind of figure out who that might be through a series of questions. Also, Mike does get a lifeline if he needs it. The lifeline he can either choose is an event from this particular character's life.
Something significant.
Or he can ask for a line that the character might say. So here we go, and kick things off. This is Who Am I? Mike,
Alrighty.
take it away.
Question 1, Marvel or DC?
This is Marvel.
Okay, male, female, or neither?
Male.
Okay, Marvel male. Hero, villain, or anti-hero?
Villain.
Interesting. Okay, male hero from Marvel.
That would be a villain from Marvel.
Did I just say hero?
Yes, you did.
I meant villain. Does he have superpowers or some other source of villainy?
Is your question, does he have superpowers?
Does he have superpowers?
He does have superpowers.
Is he a mutant?
No.
Okay. So he's got superpowers, but he's not a mutant. Is his primary foe Spider-Man?
Yes.
Is he a scientist? That narrows down, that cuts out a few more than you think.
Okay, so you're asking if he does science. What do you define as a scientist?
A scientist is someone who, yes, does science or is a doctor.
Okay. Yes, he's a science.
Okay. so
Tist. He is science.
He is science.
The villain of science.
So that cuts like the Rhino and Craven,
Right.
basically.
I get where you're going with this.
and then Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
Is he a businessman?
Yes, he is.
Is he an Osborn?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't going to be that easy, Mike.
Oh, rats. Okay, we're going to have to go.
Is it the Green Goblin?
There's more than one Green Goblin.
That's true.
Did he know Peter before he became a villain?
Like, personally?
Yeah, in his individual life.
No, he didn't.
Okay, so that's not the Jackal. It's actually going to be a little more challenging than I expected, so I'm going to go ahead and go to my first lifeline.
Your first lifeline?
Do I only get one?
No. Well, you can pick and choose, but
Okay.
it just shows that you are weaker for choosing
I'm
that.
gonna
Which one do you want? You
I'll
can
take
pick
a-
an
I'll take
event
a-
from life or a line they might say.
I'll take a line they might say.
Okay.
It's a little more challenging, but
So this is what he might say.
Okay.
With Ned gone and everyone thinks I'm dead, I can retire to Belize comfortably.
Roderick Kingsley.
That is correct. And Roderick Kingsley is...
The Hobgoblin.
That is correct, sir. Very nice. Very nicely played. As I laid out that lifeline, I was like, if he really knows about Ned Leeds, then this is going to be pretty on the nose. Was it retiring to Belize?
No, it was just when you said Ned.
Oh,
That
the
was
Ned
all.
Leeds bit.
That was
yeah.
that was it because he had powers. The only other Ned relevant villain I could come up with was the Master Planner. So yeah, Roderick Kingsley.
Very fun fact about Roger Kingsley. If you're ever in a pinch and someone asks you, what was Roger Kingsley originally as a businessman?
Fashion designer.
Fashion designer.
Because he's the guy who looks at the Green Goblin and goes, "That would be better in orange and tan and blue."
Exactly. It really shows in that costume design. All right, everybody, that was Who Am I? The answer is Roger Kingsley, the original Hobgoblin.
OG.
OG. All right, well,
Or I guess the other reveal is he's not the original reveal. He's the real.
the real, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, that was episode 6 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at because_comics. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, at supergeekmike.com. Thanks for listening, and remember,
There is no Dana, only Zool.
oh my god, I just saw there's that trailer that came out, 30th anniversary for
I haven't watched it yet.
Ghostbusters. Oh, it just dropped. It looks fantastic. Well, I mean, it
It's
looks
the-
fantastic. Have you ever heard of this movie?
Ghostbusters? That's a good movie, yeah.
Because comics.